All right, next item on our agenda is the new item that we have passed with our amended agenda. At this point, I would like to make a motion to suspend Article 6.8A of the board's policies and procedures for the May 20th, 2021 meeting, allowing for members Johnson and Ralph to be excused from voting on new items 8, 9, and 10, as they were not provided case materials to review. This will require a 2/3 vote of members present to pass. So that was the motion. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? And this was run by council, so we are good here. With that, Ms. Barella, if you will take the roll, please.
Sure. Member Galloway?
Yes.
Member Johnson?
Yes.
Thank you. Member Dr. Cass?
Yes.
Member Nixon?
Yes.
Member Ralph?
Yes.
The motion passed 5-0. Thank you.
Okay.
Item E is my item and also Attorney Gooch, board member responsibilities. So I'll go ahead and kick this over to Attorney Gooch when it gets to her portions here. Basically, these are just a few reminders here for our existing members and new members as well. Number 3 here, I'll go ahead and turn this over to Counsel Gooch, but there have been repeated questions about abstentions and recusals in voting and when this is appropriate, and I'll let Counsel Gooch just give us a gentle reminder of how that works.
Thank you, Chair Levis, Honorable Board. Your policies and procedures provide that, and as we learned tonight, you have to be in the room, but that any action on a question is lost by a tie vote, and every board member who is within the room shall vote upon each question, except those who have disqualified themselves due to a conflict of interest. So whether you were at the last meeting and are asked to approve minutes, whether you've had a chance to look at a particular case or not, absent a conflict, if you are at the meeting, and in this case in the Zoom meeting, you must vote yes or no. Now, if it poses a problem or concern, you may seek from the rest of the board a suspension of your rules to allow you to not have to vote, like we did last meeting for our newest board members that were authorized to participate, but yet didn't have access to the case materials. So that's what your policies provide, but it is, able to be updated based on a vote of a 2/3 majority if there's a situation where it becomes a problem. I don't know why that is in your policies and procedures. That has been there since long before I was your counsel, but I think it makes sense to create an opportunity for everyone to have their voice heard. And also because of the ability to abstain or suspend the rules, it provides a good equilibrium so that the board can function. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions for Attorney Gooch? And I would just Vice Chair Galloway.
I'm just wondering if it would be acceptable to the board as I'm going through and kind of working through our policies and procedures, if I clean up that language a little bit and allow for the opportunity. For example, Member Mitchell missed a meeting and didn't feel comfortable voting on the minutes and approving the minutes because he wasn't part of that meeting. Allow for those type of opportunities. Is that something that we can do? Still giving members the ability to, if they want to vote on those things, but giving them the out.
Sorry, Chair Levis, Vice Chair Galloway. I don't recommend that you make it so gray, if you will. I think that you need to have a black and white rule that allows for a suspension of the rules if and when it becomes warranted. With regard to minutes, for instance, I believe that you all get those and can review them whether or not you were at the meeting. And I'm not by any means saying that that's something that I expect of the board. But I worry that the exceptions might swallow the rule if you go down that path.
Fair enough. Thank you for that, counsel.
Any other comments or discussion? Member Mitchell?
Tina, would you feel more comfortable if the focus was narrowed to say specifically allow abstaining for meeting minutes in which you were not a participant?
Chair Galloway, Chair Olivas, I'm sorry, now I'm going to mess up the names tonight. Member Mitchell, yeah, I think that if the board was interested in exploring a very limited but very precise ability to allow an abstention, that's something that would be to implement and more fair to implement. But the other thing that members can do, for instance, with Dr. Cass missing tonight's meeting, he could ask at the start of next month's meeting to suspend the rules to allow him to not have to vote on the minutes if he had a chance to view them or if that's a concern to him. But I defer to the board. If you all think you want to do that, I can review it for you.
Member Ralph.
Yes, I would like to see that looked at definitely, because the rule was thrown at me in my very first meeting. And I had to vote, and help me God, I hope I voted the right way. And I just think that we should have some type of stipulation or something in there if it's a new member, just like any other place. Give me 30 days, to kind of learn the ropes or understand what I'm even voting on. I mean, I didn't just vote on the different items that were on the agenda, but I also had to vote if I had any discussion, and each time really I said no. I was wanted to say, what are you guys talking about? So I do think there should be some type of area for new members coming on. The cases are given to us, bam, here's all the cases, here's the agenda, here it is, now vote. And so just a little bit, help us out a little bit.
Member Armijo Pruitt.
So when it comes to minutes, I have voted no because I hadn't had a chance to review the video of the meeting or whatever. I think if it's for absences, a no's not going to scuttle a whole vote on approving minutes unless a bunch of people weren't there, in which case, how are you, I don't know. So also, just for anyone's reference, I try and watch the GovTV, the YouTube video of the meetings I miss, and it makes me feel more comfortable with voting on the minutes. But if I don't have a chance to do that, I just vote no.
Other board members? On my end, Member Nixon.
Just real quick, sounds like there may be a need for a new member orientation packet, meeting, whatever it is, but a process for new member orientation. So that's it.
Thank you, Member Nixon. On my end, I would say I do not support really any changes to this provision, because I think from the standpoint of running the meeting, you run the risk of coming to a point where, maybe two members abstain because they're new, or three members abstain because they're new, and then two members were absent, so they abstain or they vote no. They abstain, and so then you have maybe two or three people on the board, because let's say there's other people absent at that meeting, as there often are, especially as the board grows. It's more likely that one or two people will be absent. You may run into a situation where you only have two or three people voting on issues. And like for instance, the minutes, I think Member Armijo Pruitt makes a good point. You can always vote no. And your vote in favor of the minutes does not necessarily imply that you were at the meeting. It implies that you approve the minutes themselves. So we're also talking about grammatical edits and those kinds of things that you can do regardless of whether you were at the meeting or not. On other issues, I do understand that for new members, it's complicated to throw you into the ringer and, give you this huge caseload as you're just trying to get up to speed. So, maybe there needs to be that. And again, that suspension of the rules is, I think, a good solution for that, rather than writing in a bunch of outs to this that then create sort of a Swiss cheese here where there's all kinds of holes and you end up in situations where only one or two people are voting on a given issue because of absences and abstentions and such. So that's my piece on that. Do we have any other comments or questions here? I apologize for not proceeding with the usual order. I didn't expect a lot of discussion on that, but that's good. I think that's healthy that we talk about that, and certainly if anybody wants to pursue that further, I think you're free to examine those policies and procedures and offer a motion for what you'd like to do. I would suggest you run that through a committee first, but I think most of our committees would be happy to take a look at that and bring it to the board if it can move through there. So excuse me.